Hello everyone and welcome to another How Lucy's review. USAopoly has sent me a copy of Clue, the classic mystery game, Finding Nemo version. So let's go ahead and show you what comes in this version. The basic rules of Clue are all still there. There is kind of an added element in this version, which I'll show you, just beyond the theme itself. So one element that I do like right off the bat with this version, again, geared a little bit more towards that younger generation, the kids, we step away from murder, right? And figuring out who killed someone into, hey, let's find Dory. Now, ironically, it's called Finding Nemo, which is, I don't know, maybe it's a little misleading. I mean, Finding Nemo is kind of the brand and the name, but the actual story behind this version goes back to Finding Dory and includes more of the characters from that film as well. But let's go ahead and show you what comes in the box. So it's got some rules. The rule set here, again, very basic, clue, who, what, where. But the story here, as I mentioned, is while playing their favorite game of hide and seek, Nemo's forgetful friend Dory lost track of where she was. Good thing word travels fast around these reefs because Nemo is going to need help of his friends to figure out all the ways to try to find her. Just keep swimming with your favorite finned and footed adventurers as they navigate the big blue to solve what perils Dory may face, who will need to help in your plan to find her, and where she'll ultimately be found. So that's the story. Finding Nemo, Clue is about finding Dory, but you know, it's all good. So, easy setup, you know, basic deal there. The game rules follow Clue exactly. Has something in here with Intrigue Cards and a special 2-player variant or team rules. I don't know if this is something that they commonly do with their Clue games in all of them, or if this is something unique to this version. I'm actually not sure, but I imagine they include that with all of their clues nowadays. I'll get back to the intrigue in a little bit, but let's just dive into what characters and what things come in the box. So the characters here are represented by just little standees, these little cardboard pieces. They're the same on both sides. And then you jam them into these little plastic things. They work. They're not the most amazing, pieces ever. But they get the job done. They have a very clear distinction on the colors. I don't know how, I'm not colorblind, so I can't really speak to that. The difference on most of them is pretty apparent. The only one that's somewhat close here is Nemo and his father here. Obviously, they're both clownfish, so fairly similar there with the white and yellow. But there is definitely still a difference there. So those are the characters that you'll find in the Finding Nemo version of Clue. Let's go ahead and pull out the board here and get you a look at the board. So here's the board of Clue Finding Nemo. We have the minefield is featured, the Sydney Harbor, we have the dentist's office, we have the anemone, we have the drop-off, Morro Bay, the Marine Life Institute, we have the jellyfish forest, and the sunken submarine. So I think they did a really good job at highlighting really the main locations of where a lot of the action happens in both Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. So that's pretty cool. There is the normal kind of shortcuts. You utilize the East Australian current, that you can go kitty corner to those different locations. So again, ties in one of my favorite elements, the turtles, and the current, that element in Finding Nemo, to Clue as well. So very, very cool. So that's the board. You got regular black and white dice. You have your Clue little envelope to figure that out and set up. You have the Clue papers here so that you can kind of keep track of what cards you've seen. Has a little note section as well. And so there's a good amount of those. They are also double-sided, so get a lot of use out of those. The tokens, let's go ahead and show you the tokens included for the different perils. These are representing, instead of the weapons, these are the different perils. We have a commercial fishing net. We have a diver, which is pretty cool. Some decent detail on these too. Oh, let's see here. We have the fish, whatever type of fish this is. I forget what it's called. It is an angler fish. Again, pretty decent detail on these guys. Here's our truck headed for Cleveland. This one specifically was a little deformed coming out of the mold. It's got a little chunk of metal that didn't do too well on that mold there, but pretty cool little truck. Then we also have the Seagulls. Mine. Very, very cool. This is probably my favorite one. My favorite piece, just the pier and the character there. That's my favorite one. And then this is the fish bag, Darla's fish bag. So those are your pieces that represent the different perils. Now, as I mentioned, this added element to the game. There's some intrigue cards. And other than that, here's some of the artwork of the Clue cards themselves. There is some blank cards. Pull those out there. Anyway, so here's our Clue back there. Try again finding Dory. But it's got some great artwork highlighting all the different elements. We have Darla's fish bag. Now, I guess I was a little surprised. I think the artwork is great. It's not the animation style artwork from the movies themselves, but I think the artwork is still really fun and well done. So I'm just kind of shift through and allow you to kind of see the artwork in these. And again, they have the color coding around the border for the different characters, the different locations, and the hazards to distinguish those. All right, so then we get into some of the unique elements of this Clue. Is that the characters themselves have a special ability that can be used once per game. So look at just a few of those. So Bruce here, once per game, you may randomly pick a card to look at from someone you just showed a card to. And so once you've done that, then you'd flip it over. And you can't use that ability again. But each of the characters has just a unique ability that helps them once throughout the game. So that's Bruce. Destiny, once per game, you may ask about a plan using a location you are not currently in. So kind of save you if you want to ask a different location. You can be in the jellyfish forest, but actually guess the anemone as the location instead. You can do that once. Marlin, once per game, you may ask about 2 plans on the same turn, which can be pretty powerful. So you can ask one and then immediately follow it up with another. Crush, once per game, you may move twice in one turn. Roll the dice and move, then roll the dice and move again. So it gives you a little more speed. Not quite as good as some of the other ones, I don't think. Once per game, you may look at a card that a player has just shown another player. It can be very helpful. And Nigel, once per game, you may move to any part of the ocean. So again, that one's pretty good, going exactly where you need to. I feel like Crush is the weakest, which is kind of unfortunate because I like Crush. But anyway, so that's one element that makes this clue unique. The other element are what they call intrigue cards. If you land on a question mark, roll a question mark. Oh, I forgot to mention. So yes, regular black and white dice, but the 1 is actually replaced by a question mark on one of the dice, not both dice, just one of them. There's a question mark. So whenever you land on a question mark space, or you roll a question mark, or you are moved. So if someone's making a guess in the jellyfish forest and you are Nigel, and they want to say, I think the plan is the anglerfish in the jellyfish forest and with Nigel. If someone moves you into a location to be questioned, you may draw an intrigue card. So there's 3 different ways you can get these intrigue cards. Landing on the question marks, rolling the question mark, or if someone moves your character to present a plan involving you, you can choose to draw a card. Again, all of those are choices. Now, the cards themselves are shuffled up, and whenever you draw one, they usually are going to provide some sort of benefit. So this proper exiting technique, move anywhere, play now or keep until needed. So there's some move anywheres, avoid answering a question, so you can keep it, and then someone wants to ask you, presents a plan, it goes around the table, you can just play it and say, I'm actually not going to answer. Because usually you have to either provide and show them a clue, one of your cards, or if you don't, then you say, I don't. This way you can actually avoid that altogether. Add 6 to the dice roll, ask another question, take an extra turn, some really, really good things. The other thing that this deck has is sunset cards. Now, if a sunset card comes up, they're put to the side of the board, and if 8 sunset cards are revealed, the game ends. So it's another trigger for the game ending. And so you have to be a little bit careful with the cards, but as they come up, as it gets closer to 8, people are going to just be less likely to take the cards. But that's the added or unique elements of Finding Nemo clue. So if that looks like the version for you, hopefully this has been helpful for you to kind of see the different components and elements of the game. And yeah, I think they did a great job representing the characters. And as I said, one of the biggest things that I just think it's a great version, because for kids especially, because you're not dealing with who murdered someone. We're off to find Dory in this case. So that, again, Finding Nemo clue from USAopoly. And that is how Lou sees it.